Good evening, good evening, good evening, and good everything. This is Reginal Drummer, the peopleologist, coming to you live for another episode of We Are Ready, where we prepare ourselves to put ourselves in position so that we don't have to get ready. We don't have to worry ourselves when some situation comes. Whether it's a pandemic, or a pandemonium, you can't prepare for everything. We encourage people to pray, fast, meditate, strategize. But at some point in your life, you're going to be challenged with something that you knew uh, should have known how to prepare or be ready for. At some point in your life, there's going to be something that you should have prepared yourself more better for. Okay? I encourage everyone to like, share, and subscribe over here at Square Mile Media Atlanta. Uh, we got a lot of content over here, and hit that notification button so that you can be aware anytime we got any broadcast that's coming on over here. Tonight, we're talking about one of my favorite subjects because when we talk about the acronym WAR, WAR, it stands for We Are Ready. And in order for us, we, to be ready, we have to prepare ourselves as individuals first so that we can be in position so that we are not um, the weakest link. Okay, if you're the weakest link, you find yourself the weakest link, you will get left behind. You will get left behind. You will get left behind. With all the different things that are happening, all the different things that we are facing, we have to put ourselves in a stronger position. We just have to put ourselves in a stronger position. Nobody's coming to help us. Nobody's coming to save us. And if they did come to help you or save you, guess what? They got another agenda. Okay, they got another agenda. So that's why we have to prepare ourselves so that we can be in a better position. You can't prepare for everything, but you rather be in a position of strength than a position of weakness. And the weakness is not knowing what to do during certain situations. Okay, certain situations that come our way every single day. This evening, I'll be joined by a special guest. Uh, she's been on the program before, Miss Victoria X, and she brings a lot of great information when it comes down to preparing yourself, and especially with women, we have to be really preparing ourselves and thinking about what we need to do in these situations. We are in some difficult times, and those times can be anything that could affect us. Anything. It could be as simple as a power going out tonight. What you gonna do? Who you gonna call? So I'll be joined by Miss Victoria X. I think she's in the chat. Sister Victoria, how you doing, my sister?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, I
Uh,
thank Almighty God, Allah for life, my dear brother. Peace and blessings. Power to the people. Assalamu alaikum.
yes. Well, Lakem wa
It's a
salam.
certainly a pleasure to be on your show. Can you hear me well?
Yes, ma'am. You're coming in loud and
Alhamdulillah.
clear.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Uh, oh,
Now
great.
I know.
Okay. Well, yes. Well, thank you again for sharing your platform with me, allowing me the opportunity to speak with our people. You're doing a magnificent job, and I appreciate the work that you're doing to, inform our people because this is a very, very um, serious topic. Because we're talking about survival. We're talking about, life or death. That's what it's a matter of. And so this is something that I appreciate, and like yourself, um, I'm committed to. I love discussing because I love my people. And I'm a humanitarian and I want to see people be successful. I don't want for someone or people to suffer for the lack of knowledge. And that's what the scripture says. My people suffer for the lack of knowledge. So when we are uninformed, we don't know what to do, then oftentimes, we simply lose our lives for something so simple as not having knowledge. And if you're a parent like I am, You don't want to be in a position where you're looking at your children and you haven't had a plan of survival for them. Because what if, and this is a question that I asked earlier on my Facebook video, I said, if the grocery stores were to close tonight, do you have enough water and food to last you and your family to survive on for the next 6 months to a year? We have to take a moment and really think about that and be honest with ourselves. Most of us are not ready. Most of us cannot survive 6 months to a year on the food and water that we have right now in our homes. So we really have to talk about this, and we have to truly get prepared for what's to come. I know a lot of times we've heard our grandparents or our mothers or aunties, talk about this time is coming. And at some point, people begin to say, okay, well, how long y'all been talking about that for so many years? It hasn't happened yet. So some people are even in disbelief that it will be a time where we would have to survive, struggle to survive. And we will have to depend on how much we have prepared in order to, survive.
And
So, yeah.
and you bring up a good point, because a lot of times I always remember my grandmother would share some stuff with us, and my granddaddy, they would talk about some days that will be coming that might be hard, and look like those days never came. But if we look today, it could be a natural disaster like a
Yes.
hurricane or tornado, or it could be something like COVID.
Yes.
Nobody who would have thought that COVID would have shut most people down. We lost a lot of great people during COVID,
We did.
and
Yes.
one of the biggest defining things was being ready, being prepared. Not just for the situation itself, but for the aftermath. When you can't go to your local restaurant, when you can't go, find some food. And people never thought that here in America, we'd be like that, you know. So
That's
many
right.
adjustments had to be made, and we still making adjustments. I know you had put some kits together, and several people would ask, you know, what are certain things we need to have? Most people say, well, we need some water, we need some bread, but one of the main things was certain things that people thought they needed. It was no good once the power went out. It was no good once a lot of communications went down. It was no good once they couldn't get to it. So uh, if you could keep some things on your person that you could readily access, and sustain you, because sometimes it might just be a couple. It could be you stuck in traffic during the
Yeah.
winter, and you just might need a blanket or something
Yeah.
to keep your hands warm, or some water. But
Yeah.
uh, can you go over certain some of the things that and we call them a bug out bag, but they got different terms for them, but just different things that you might just have to have on your person or have in reach when it comes down to surviving.
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, one of the things is that I have in my survival kit or bug out bag, um, there is a food bar, and it has 3,600 calories. And so it's very nutritious. It has a shelf life of 5 years. So we
Mm,
have to be very careful with the expiration dates, because some people may say, well, I'm just going to throw this in my bag, and it may have a year shelf life on it or 2 years. And so by the time, we go into, a situation, it may not be edible at that time because it might be expired. So one of the things is with the food and water that I have in my survival kits, bug out bags, they have a 5 year shelf life, so
mm.
that's very, very important. Um, of course, you have lighting, definitely, when the lights go out, you got to be able to see, what's going on. Um, a lot of people that are taking medication, it's very important to make sure that you have your medication in your bug out bag, because if it's a situation where you have to get up and go, you don't want to be going through your cabinets and trying to find important medicine that you need. You need to have that already in your bag so that you don't forget it. You move out. You have to have stuff to keep your mind, occupied, because when you're going through trauma, you don't want to, lose touch with, just reality and just human things. You want to stay grounded mentally. So those who are dealing with even mental health issues, and that is a serious situation, and sometimes we try to push it underneath the carpet, but it is a reality. And so when you're already going through trauma, those people that already suffer mental health, they are going to be triggered in a lot of ways. So it's very important to make sure you have all of those type of meds as well. But not only that is learn how to meditate, learn how to do deep breathing that allows you to relieve stress, because a situation, going into those type of situations, those can be very stressful. But if you prepare now and start learning how to meditate, learning how to pray, talk to the God, those things will help you get through stressful situations and keep you grounded, where you can stay focused on your situation and have a better outcome. um, so it's just so many things that are very important. Of course, the basics, in the survival kits, and then you have to look at the reality of having money, cash on you. Definitely, because the credit cards and everything. When there's an issue going on with electricity or whatever, you might not be able to go to an ATM and withdraw money at that time. So you want to make sure you have cash inside of your survival kit. That's very important as well.
Well, you brought up something, and we do encourage that, some type of prayer, meditation, because what happens, especially, and it happens sometimes when people have to go beyond one day. When you fast, you get ready for doing without something. Okay,
That's
but a
right.
lot of
Yes.
people, if you told them they couldn't drink water for the next 3 hours, they might go nuts, because it's
Yeah.
hard for them. Once somebody tells you, are you in a position where you can't get it, you go to
Hmm.
the next extreme. Case
Yes.
in point, a lot of times when people are in shelters, and they policing the food, the water, you find out that people eating more of the food, uh,
Hmm.
and it's not going to be able to last that long. So if
Right.
you get your mindset right, you can put yourself in a position so that you won't eat up all your stuff, or waste a lot, you know. So that's an
You're right.
important piece.
Yes. Yeah, and you're right in what you're saying, because it's like conditioning your body, you know. And so when we learn how to fast, and a lot of people think, oh, you're gonna be weak if you fast, if you don't eat. Well, you actually gain energy, when you fast, and the body can go for long periods of time without eating or drinking water. Of course, it's good, to have it, but when you condition yourself, because a lot of my brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam, some of them are actually eating every other day. This is how they do on a regular. We're taught to fast. um, 3 days out of the month, the whole nation goes on a fast. And so when you learn how your body works, then you won't be afraid of not having food and not having water. But of course, those who have medical conditions, where you have to eat, then of course be wise. Don't put yourself in a situation, because Almighty God does not wish hardship on you. So be reasonable with yourself, with what it is that you need individually. But those who are able bodied, healthy, you can fast and condition yourself so that when there is a time where you don't have food, you'll be able to sustain, you know, and you'll be able to ration, food better. So that is a very good point that you made, Brother Reginald, because a lot of people are afraid, not eat. They think that you're gonna get weak, you're gonna die. You know what I'm saying? If you don't eat 3 meals a day, because most of the American people, they're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then a
Ooh,
snack. So we're really overeating. So at a time like that, if they're eating like that, they are not going to survive, because who
ooh,
would have
yeah.
that type of, food and water, store it up, to eat like that.
Well,
That's pretty much gluttony.
well, you said, and and I thank you, Brother Charles. Everybody that's tuning in, Legacy Moves, Brother Charles, Latish. I've been with Brother Charles Jihad, and many times, uh, actually doing a meal a day. It's been years when I first started, and I got some from Dick Gregory, but just reading a little bit from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad put me in a mindset to focus on going with just one meal. And it gave me the ability to think clearer and not be in a position where I was tired. And this is especially for men and women. If you're the one that's going to be in the family that's going to really hold it down, you're going to have to put yourself in a position where you might not need as much as everybody. You still got to take care of yourself. You got to drink water, keep yourself strong. But if you eat up, exhaust all your nutritional things, you're not going to have the strength or the where to be able to help other people. And we find ourselves a lot of times in survival situations. Somebody got to take the lead, and somebody got to keep their mind clear to help protect or save the other people. There are families that have perished or died because no one was in their right mind. I believe there's this thing called cabin fever. There were some people that were in a cabin and they froze to death and starved to death, even though they had food. But they started hallucinating because they had whatever happened. They had exhausted their their water supply, and they started turning on each other. So these are the things that can happen in a surviving type situation when people are dependent on alcohol, you know, or cigarettes. Not putting any of those things down, but if you can't do without a cigarette for more than an hour or a day, you're gonna have a major problem. And then also in terms of medication, a lot of people, we see it all the time when people are not taking their meds. If you are on medication and you're not making sure that you have those things in a situation or you can't access them or get to them,
Right.
you're gonna have a problem, and you might be uh, the the most vulnerable person in the group. Now, people can try to help you, but it's going to be difficult. Uh, but it's critical that we try to be as strong as we can be, especially now with all the stuff that's going down. We found it out during COVID. They started pointing out, especially in minority communities, people with underlying what they call health issues. Now, most of us don't know what our underlying health issue is. You know what I'm saying? Until you get into that situation.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. That is so true. Because even with myself, and I have to use myself for an example, I was trying really hard because everyone was saying, okay, if you have like, lupus, autoimmune, or, this and then the other, COVID can be really bad on you. And I believe that I probably caught COVID, at least 2 times. I don't like to go to the doctors, but I had the symptoms. But, because I deal with natural herbs and remedies, I was able to help my son, and he had COVID, and I was able to help him out of being in a real bad situation. I mean, he would have been
Mm.
hospitalized. He could hardly breathe, and they wanted to keep him at the hospital. And they told me, they said, just they gave me some kind of number. They said when we take him back, you're not going to be able to go back there with him, and just call this number to check on him. And my son whispered to me. He said, "Mom," he said, "if you can't come back there with me, I don't want to be here." And I
Wow.
said, "Well, son, I'm going to take you home and I'm going to care for you." And I said, "We're going to get you back on your feet by the grace of Almighty God Allah." And that's exactly what I did. And his father thought I was crazy. He was like, "Oh, he could be dead in the morning. What are you doing? You're not a
Mm.
doctor. Why did you take him out of the hospital?" And blah, blah, blah. But at certain times you have to have faith, and you have to understand that there is not a disease known to man that the earth does not have a cure. And because I've been studying, herbs, and these are things that we have to understand, that it's important to even keep in our survival kits, because we not may not have access to, Western medication, or, I'm saying, just having something natural is even better for you, because oftentimes when you're taking the Western medication, it causes other problems, and they have
Side effect,
issues with
yes.
that. And yeah, it's like a vicious cycle. But if you're taking, natural herbs, you can really get to the root of whatever the problem is and truly cure that problem. And that's what I was able to do with my son. But then back to myself, it was a scary situation, because I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? Having breathing issues, and, flares, and, all of that. But one of the things, like you spoke about earlier, the condition of the mind. So we have to, just really build a relationship with the God. I know that, somebody may say Jah Rastafari, Jehovah, just different, the Most High, Allah, but just have that connection, within yourself, and within, whatever your belief system is. Just have faith, at a time, at an hour like that. It's very important to start building our faith now. Start getting more connected with each other, like settle our differences. Because when it comes down to survival, you may have to bunk up, with other family, members or friends, so it's a very important time to, start repairing relationships, and, getting close to the people who you need to be with. Because when the hour gets that dark, and you got to have people around you with that you can work together, what I'm saying, people who you can trust. So
Oh, yeah.
that's very important. Um, so it's just so many avenues and different angles to look at survival, even preparing our children, for survival. Like, a lot of children are afraid of the dark, so then teach our children not to be afraid of the dark. Do different exercises where you turn out the lights, and, allow them to know that it's okay, to be in the dark, because it might be a time where they have to be in the dark for a while, but
Right.
then you have to let them know, do not fear, it's okay. The light, will come again.
Well, you
But
bring
that,
up
can be a lot of anxiety for a child, and it could also
you
be.
bring up a good point. Sometimes we have to do some exercises
Yes.
so that we can prepare ourselves. One of the things that we've done in the past, we encourage people. You ain't got to do it all the time, but maybe once a month or once a quarter, turn your water off and turn your power off. Oh,
That's
on a
right.
Friday, and don't turn
Absolutely.
it back. You're gonna save money on your power bills and all this stuff, but you get used to not
Yes, sir.
having the power on or the water on. And if you're doing it with your family, just like a fire drill, we
Right.
have to prepare ourselves how to exit our homes. We got to prepare ourselves if somebody doing a situation that you got to defend yourself. That means that the kids got
Training.
to be quiet. It can't be no
Yes.
noise in the house. We go all silent. I remember uh, we would do that at my grandmother's when a storm came. You could hear a rat urinate on cotton. That's how quiet it was. Now
Right.
today, if just say you had to hide for some people, these could be people trying to break in your house. These could be
Right.
people trying to take you captive. You know,
Hmm.
then you're gonna have to be silent, and you might have to do that for a sustained period of time, and that takes some discipline. Sister Victoria, you might have to get a little closer to the mic. It was breaking
Okay.
up a
Yes,
little
sir.
bit. Okay,
Okay. How about now?
that's better. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Because we know what you
Yes.
got to say is very important. So I want to make sure it's loud and clear,
Yes, sir. And
crystal
thank you so
clear.
much. I appreciate that.
Yes, my
Yes.
sister.
Hmm.
Oh,
What you're saying is absolutely correct. Yes, sir.
I wanted. I know there's a brother that you're working with. Oh, want to be able to walk. Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And this, I'm gonna ask you about the brother. But one of the things, and I put this out daily in my thing. I said, one, we have to figure out a way to spend some quiet time with me, myself, and I. Number
Hmm.
two, drink some water, and number three, walk, crawl, hop, run, jump, or hop for at least 5 minutes. Now, this gets you in a particular position so that you can flee from a hostile situation. Uh, Really, it's like in the military. We have to prepare ourselves to go at least a mile. Okay. Now we suggest 5 miles, but just say if you could go a mile, you could get out of your neighborhood, or you might be in a position where you got to walk, crawl, hop, or run to the area where you got your stuff, and you might not be able to get to it with a vehicle. So it's imperative that we prepare ourselves so that when situations come, we won't get left behind. Because you see in these movies where they say, "Go on, go on without me." It sounds cold. Yeah, you don't want to be the one that we got to lead with a gun, so you have to shoot yourself because the enemy is not going to be nice to you. Either they're going to kill you, hurt you, maim you, or enslave you. Okay, so we have to get ourselves.
Think about.
Oh yeah, we got to get ourselves physically ready to be able to evade attack. And case in point, there's situations. I remember talking to a lady that was at the Boston bombing a couple of years ago. Now, one good thing, those people were able to flee because they was there to run anyway. Okay, now you had to get out of there at a brisk pace, and a lot of people didn't make it. But just say there's a shooting or there's a situation. Again, being able to be quiet, be able to be still, be able to evade. If you can't evade, if you got people in your family that's hurting or can't get out, they're gonna have to be still, and they're gonna have to put themselves in a position where they can protect themselves if someone approaches them. So we have to teach our people how to protect themselves, how to at least be able to get away a block away. I remember when, and that was during COVID, when we were downtown Atlanta, and we did a deal where we were telling people, if you're going to go downtown, and this is when it was breaking, other people was coming in, breaking glass and different things like that. Well, if you had a party of people that were together, they had to know where to meet at a certain time. Okay. If you got a family, in case downtown, there was a situation that broke out down by the Macy's building, but the group knew that they were going to meet at the Waffle House over by Georgia State. So they came together, even, when all hell broke loose. The police came through there and was in riot gear and all this type of stuff. But at least they had a rendezvous spot where they could get to, and that was probably a couple blocks away. And then with the trauma that was going on, those people were able to get there and collectively regroup. So we have to have a plan for your family. If you got a family, if you have a family, and you have to have some drills that you can do and practice, so that when something goes down, it could be a natural disaster, it could be a tornado, it could be a fire. There's so many people that lose their lives going back into the house looking for somebody. Okay, looking for somebody that's already out of the house. Okay, the same thing with any situation. It could be a boat turning over. Recently, there was a boat turning over, and the guy ended up drowning because now everybody was off the boat, and he went down below the boat to try to it might have been to retrieve or find somebody that he thought was down there. Now, I remember from my Navy days, we would practice man overboard drills, and what we would do once we got where we was going, we did a head count to see who was there. Now that guy probably would have survived if he had a contingency plan on what happens during a situation, because just say now, a lot of people are going to be going, and it's not a big disaster, but you could go to the lake, and before you know it, you could be in a situation where it's time to figure out how you're going to survive. The boat, somebody
Right.
could fall in the water. A lot of people don't know how to swim. Uh, and you got to figure out ways that you can help somebody else. Just
That's
jumping
right.
in the water, playing Superman, Aqua Boy, you're not going to probably make it. It's better that you have a life preserver or throw a branch or limb or a belt. And these are things that they teach people what we forget. And every year somebody lose their life
Mm-hmm.
trying to save somebody else
Yeah.
from drowning. Let me see.
Yeah.
Climate change is real and extreme weather is occurring more frequently. In Georgia, we've had communities destroyed by tornadoes. Especially down in South Georgia. Everywhere I go down in South Georgia, they still got blue tarps up covering the houses that, tornadoes come back to back to back. So these are natural disasters. And you know what? I thought about it up in the northern states right now. Now, there's fires in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
People are being affected.
Right.
Some of them can't come out their homes. It's just like COVID again. So we have to prepare ourselves on
Mm-hmm.
all
Right.
fronts. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to ask you
Yes,
about the
you're right.
brother, Sister Victoria. I was going to ask you about the brother that's got the online course dealing with, I know some of them dealing with communication and different things, doing a situation that's, trying to survive because we have to figure out how we're going to survive in multiple scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Right.
but, uh,
Yes. Absolutely. Well, yes, the brother's name is Brother. I think we had a little bit of a interference in the line. Can you hear me well?
yes, ma'am. That's better.
Are you able to hear me, sir?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. I
Yes,
can hear
sir.
you.
The
Yeah.
brother's name is Brother Paul Muhammad.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir. Brother Paul Muhammad is certainly an expert when it comes down to emergency communication. And what he does is he has a online course where he teaches people how to use a ham radio. And this ham radio allows you to be able to connect even when the towers are down, when your cell phones are not working. Um, Emergency communication is very, very important because it allows you to be able to know, when there's danger, even as you spoke about, when it comes down to natural, like weather conditions, natural disasters, you want to start getting, prepared for those kind of things, knowing what to do. But at the same time, when you have emergency communication, you can know what's going on around you and how to prepare yourselves and your families, because we can have all the water and food and all of that, but communication, to be able to know, like, have an evacuation plan, to get your family together, y'all meet at a certain place or in time. When you're communicating, when you have emergency communication, you're able to more so navigate, through natural disasters and emergency situations. So he has a really, really good class. And I actually had a flyer that I was going to pull up here, but I had some trouble with my internet, and I'm not able to actually pull this flyer up. But if you all can, after the show, I'm going to post his flyer on my Facebook page.
Oh,
I am Victoria X Whipple on Facebook. Victoria X and the last name Whipple. So I'm going to post his flyer there on my Facebook page. So please do, visit my page. Again, that's Victoria X Whipple.
oh, and that's good. And you bring up so many points. I hadn't thought about ham radios back in the day.
Yeah.
Uh, I think they would teach us how to build these things. An AM radio and ham radio, even moved up to CD radio. But a
Yes,
ham radio,
that's exactly what Brother Paul Muhammad does as well. He actually builds them. He's an engineer. He builds the radios and the systems. I mean, it's amazing. Like I can't, I can't imagine really to tell you exactly, you know, because I'm just like in awe. I'm like, wow, you know, this is something that you're able to do this, but he really has a passion for it. His class again is very informative, it's very interactive, it's fun, and you learn so much, you know, and when you leave that class feeling like, look, I'm ready, you know, for emergency, you know, that's how it is. So yes, you're right. So back in the day, you know, and that's what I remember, you know, those ham radios, CB radios and all of that. I couldn't understand it, but now I understand the importance of them, you know, like you were saying. So yes, sir.
Yeah, because you know, you look at if just say a lot of times, say if it just goes bad. Now you know we look at something where the power goes off for about an hour. Now some people catch hell if the power go off for an hour, just 1 hour. Now if the power, the water stuff go off for 3 days. In Mississippi, they were off for about 2 weeks. This is in the United States of America. You know, you say, wow. Now just imagine we hadn't had the faith, even down in New Orleans back during Katrina, stuff was down for months. You know, and you look at what can you do, what's gonna happen. In a case, and this is why it's imperative that families, groups, like-minded people, you see other groups doing it. They up in Woodstock, Ackworth, they got groups of, you can call them farm boys, rednecks, preppers, whatever you want to call them. But they figure out a way so they could team up if something go down. Now, some of the people, I got some brothers up there, they said, well, Reggie, when they get all hell break loose in Atlanta, come up 75, I'm going to let you through the gate. Now,
I know that's right.
Now, you got to know some of them people.
Yes,
if it gets out of control, you know, because, and then the communication goes back to like what the brothers has. There's signals that go out all the time. People, and you got to be able to pick them up. And if you know how to create devices outside of your cell phone, you can at least receive this information. You know where not to run into. So one of the things that, and reason we do a lot what we're doing, and sometimes it sounds cold, but if you look at situations across the globe, you can look at the Ukraine, what's going on right now. You can look at different countries even in Africa where chaos and disorder has broke loose. Now, they'll make it sound like people acting up, they savages, whatever. But even in the Ukraine, if you're not down with the program, you know, we might accept, we say, well, we all in the same boat. But if you ain't rowing in that boat with them, you're not going to make it. You know, they determine that either you're going to be, you know, in their case, you fighting the enemy. Ain't no in between. I think I'm gonna wait or hold up. If somebody go to sleep, they gonna shoot him because that individual is there to make sure the other individuals are safe. And this is how serious things can get in a what we call a Armageddon type situation where all hell done broke loose. We talking about 6 months to about 6 years where is anarchy. You just everybody for themselves. And when everybody for themselves, if you can't protect yourself, and that's one reason we got back to being able to evade or hide from the enemy. And then the second part is being able to defend yourself from the enemy or whoever is coming to get you, to attack you, take your food, your belongings, your possession, or even you. So these are things that as a group, sometimes we have to practice. You know, I saw a video of a young Chinese girl. I mean, they were training her to avoid being captured doing sexual trafficking. There was a bunch of them. All of them was 7, 8, 9. They looked cruel because they were physically getting hit. But I'm telling you this, That is not one of them little girls you're gonna grab and you're gonna see on the milk carton.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. And
Oh
that's
no.
the way we're trained too. In the Nation of Islam, we have, women, called Vanguard, and just the regular MGT, Muslim Girls in Training. We train for, if we do have an attacker, we want to be able to save our lives. So we have martial arts. We learn, all of these things, and it can get rough and brutal. It's been times I was training and, got kicked in the eye,
Whoa.
get my eye real watery, and I'm having to keep on, sparring, you know what I'm saying? But it's so important because you never know when you can be in a situation where you're going to have to use that training, to save your life or even protect your family. So it's
Right.
very important to know, these things. And, sometimes, girls, we just got to get out there, what I'm saying, and do it. You know what I mean? We can't look, oh, we're going to break a nail, none of that. No, we have to know how to fight, how to train, how to survive. Even like you were saying earlier, Brother Reginald, you talked about, just being able to, not be that one to say, okay, just leave me behind, just go and save
No.
yourself. You want to be able to keep up, so, condition yourselves now today, start walking, then start doing a little, jogging or whatever. So we're taught and trained to be able to run at least a mile because you may have to, like you say, get to your belongings, get to your emergency essentials, and you might not have a lot of time to do that. So you've got to condition yourself, to be able to run at least a mile, so everybody, challenge yourselves today to start working out, to start, training, in some type of martial arts. You should be able to, defend yourself because there's like you mentioned earlier, the sex trafficking that's happening. And
Oh
that's a
yeah.
way to survive in this hour to, because I've had people look at me crazy and walk up on me, and I'm like, I don't know what this person has on their mind, but I'm ready. I'm saying if I need to do something to them to save my life, I'm ready to do it. And that's what we have to, where we have to be. And it all starts in the mind, knowing and believing that, God loves you and he only helps those who help themselves.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sometimes we, like you said, nobody ain't coming, what I'm saying, to help us,
No.
so we have to help ourselves. And if we come together as a people, like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us, that our unity is more powerful than the atomic bomb. So get with people of like minds, and sometimes, like you say, people look at them and they say, oh, these preppers, these conspiracy theorists, and,
Oh.
all this stuff that they might call us, but these are the kind of people that you want to get next to because these people are paying attention and they're preparing for a time that's to come. So it's very important to, come together and unite with like minds, and like you said, train, continue to train and prepare ourselves. I love the name of your show, getting ready is so important. So, we get ready and stay ready,
Oh yeah.
and that's
Stay
what it's
ready.
about.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
uh, like you say, Sister Victoria, a lot of times, especially in our families, uh, with everything that's going on now,
Hmm.
we did a show not too long ago about a lot of the protected rights, especially of Black people, is being milked down or removed. A lot of the cushion that we had, we no longer have. Okay, that means that you can't make yourself an easy target. Okay, you can't make
Right.
yourself an easy target. That means you gotta, you know, we got to, as the young people say, you got to keep your head on the swivel. You got to be looking. They
That's
call
right.
it being woke, being aware.
Hmm.
Some of the foods that we're eating, people getting hit that way. Some of the medication that we're taking, people getting hit that way.
That's
Some of the
right.
rules and the laws that are being put in place, people are being hit that way. So families are being attacked from different dimensions. So part is economically. I was just in an area, and even though I know about people getting off the grid and all this type of stuff, I've been off the grid
Right.
myself, and I witnessed where there was a couple, because I saw a couple guys there. They were standing in U-Haulers.
Mm.
Now, what happened? They had been not evicted by the apartment complex, but whoever they were staying with. Okay, and they didn't have
Right.
enough money to secure a place to stay. So and they didn't have transportation. So they were living inside of abandoned U-Hauls. Okay, I mean, especially during the summer months, people doing it, and then people living in the bushes, all kind of places. But people have made adjustments because some families have had to get rid of people. You know, if they were in a situation where you were able to stay with a friend or somebody like that, because of different rules and different laws, they started to go into some houses and seeing who lives there. And you said, what? Yeah. And that means that these folk got to find somewhere else to live. Now, these things are happening now, so we have to really start paying attention to all of this. Like I said, we've been being hit from all angles.
Yes, that is true.
When you see some people walking the streets, some of them can't get their medication. Medication has been priced up, out, or whatever. You see so many situations of where people are at the mercy of whatever shows up, and we look like we're the poster children for making boo-boos all the time. But we got to be more proactive. And family members, I encourage family members to reach out to their family members. Okay, it's good to know that you got somewhere else to go. When I was growing up, I always knew I could go back home to my grandmama's house. I hadn't done nothing that bad. So, but a lot of people are not in that position.
That's right.
If they are in a position, this is done. Either it could be because they don't have any family friends in the area, or it could be because they have alienated themselves from family and friends and loved ones. Because some people, they bad news. So we have to figure out who we can put in the boat with us. Like I say, you can't put everybody in the boat. You can't save everybody. Some people are going to have to be pushed overboard. Some people are going to have to be left. You can't even tell them when you leaving. We've seen situations where people, the guy woke up and everybody was gone.
Yeah, that's real. I mean, it's funny, and it's at the same time it's sad, and it's true. Because just look at how Harriet Tubman had to do. You have people that was bucking, and they really didn't want to follow the system of survival and getting free. So she had to deal with them. I mean, I don't know how true it is, but I even heard that she had to kill her own husband because he was giving her a hard time in the midst of her being on that mission. So she had to deal with some people, and some people, they're just not equipped to be with us at a time where it's survival. So it's like people need to learn conflict resolution now, learn how to get along with people, because we're gonna need each other.
Right.
So if it's a person that has a hard time and they're always keeping some stuff going, that's not somebody I want to be around at a time when it comes down to survival. They're gonna have to stay far away from me.
Oh yeah. Well,
and I don't want to be that girl on the outside looking in, and nope, I don't have anybody to be there for me because I've been a problem. So we want to, definitely strive hard to be loving, be kind.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You want to love everybody and appreciate everybody, but this is another thing in the survival type situation. I'm talking about extreme. I'm talking about when all hell, chaos, and broke loose. There would be a purging. There would be it's got to be a purging. It's like there's a self cleansing within nature to get what you call them, unyoked, unlike minded, or just resistors, because you can't afford to have a non-unified front because of what you got to go up against. We see it, and I have to throw this is cartoonish, but it was in the Marvel universe. They had to let the superheroes fight each other first. Captain America and Iron Man was fighting each other because they had to get all that out of them. Because the enemy they had to come up against, if they had just one little inkling between themselves, they wasn't going to be able to win. So sometimes a part of purging is getting rid of some of those little things that we might, I don't, even when it comes to living conditions with people, I don't like this, I don't like that. You will find that you're going to have to get rid of some of those ideas, some of those thoughts in order to move forward and survive. Like I said, when I saw 3 guys living in a U-Haul, okay,
wow,
and evidently they came up with a system of how to, keep that going. Because they were able to, I guess one of them watched, made sure they could get it, and and the other one watched and made sure they, but they had to come up with a system so they could live in that U-Haul it for a sustained period of time. And they had to come up with a system so that they could get along, and this is something that happens in survival situations. The people, like I said earlier, when they find that people killed each other or got or went nuts, cabin fever set in. That's when people can't overcome the mental anguish of surviving. We see those shows survive. I encourage people to watch them survival shows. I know they vote them off and different things, but you need to watch when you see these guys in the wilderness and surviving. Instead of looking at a lot of the twerking videos and see who doing this and that. Because trust me, twerking ain't gonna help you. When it comes down to surviving.
No, sir.
You're gonna have to know how to either fight, evade, or create something that you can use. We did a thing one time where the guy, he told me, he said, "Drummer, you're gonna have to be able to go in your backyard and get some backyard groceries." That means going out there getting some weeds, and you got to know the difference between those things and poison ivory. Poison oak, so that means, now these are things that and then herbs that can help us. There's some herbs out there that's right in your backyard. They can lower your blood pressure, a whole lot of stuff, but you're going to have to get into it, and all those things are out there. And it's good when we can exchange information and share that with each other, because if you're in a situation right now, and I just used the Ukraine. Now, over in different parts of the continent of Africa, you can't be a diabetic. You can't be a person with high blood pressure because you can't get to the medication. Over in Ukraine right now, they at war. They know, it's either one or two things you're doing. Either you shooting and fighting, or you fighting and shooting.
Ain't that something?
Yeah. It's no in between. It's all about survival. You see, and even though not to give everybody a doomer and a gloomer type situation, but I guess to share with people the sense of urgency of preparing yourself. I have just as much fun as anybody, but I got to be thinking how to survive. Even if I get on go to the mall, I'm looking at just in case.
That's right. That's right. Stay vigilant. Stay ready.
Oh yeah.
General orders in effect.
So you got to stay ready at all times. If I go to on the bus or the train, I'm looking, and Brother Charles, he'll tell you, it's certain trains I get on all the time. They line up at the same place all the time. A lot of people don't know this. They just get on any train willy-nilly. It's certain things you got to position yourself. Not to say you paranoid or anything like that, but I'm not trying to be an easy target.
Right.
Yeah. So we have to, but can you, just give us uh, some more tips, especially for the ladies out there, because even now it's hot. Carjackings are going down. People got to be more careful when they go to these stores. Different places. If you look weak, they'll take advantage of you. If
That's right.
people, and it doesn't matter whether it's women or men. We have to put ourselves in a position of strength so we can survive and go back and get back home.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that just goes right back to training. Find a martial arts dojo. Be a part of some type of training classes, so that if ever the event you're in a situation where you have to defend yourselves, because what I'm understanding, they use a language called soft target, and so women
Oh,
are considered soft targets and easy, to be manipulated or to be, just victimized, by those who are out there seeking to prey on soft targets. And so, we have to always make sure that we are security minded wherever we are. At night, it's good not to even be at night if you don't have to be. Before, when that sun, is going down, we should really be inside, indoors, but if we just have to be out, we want to be especially watchful at night, because that's when a lot of the stuff happens. But then understand that things are happening in broad daylight as well. So we have to be security minded at all times, women, sisters. We can't stress that enough, because if there's not a man there to protect us, and even if there is a man there, we may have to, just cover down for each other on different ways. We just have to always be mindful of being security minded. Don't try to go to the grocery stores late at night. Do your grocery shopping during the day, and then too, it was something I was looking at where it was saying, like, if you see like a big van, don't park next to big vans. If you're gonna park, try to park next to smaller cars where you can see over the vehicle, and that nobody can trap you in somewhere where they snatch you up and put you somewhere and nobody even see what happened. It's like crazy. So just always be security minded, women. I can't stress that enough. And it's another thing too that I was thinking about when it comes down to survival. Like if ever you're in a situation where you have to eat at home, and you have people around you, and you don't want to make the sin of food go out, because you can have people that could put you in a dangerous position where when people that are hungry and they smell food coming from your home, and you're eating, you may get somebody at the door to break the door down to get to your food. So now what's important at this point, sisters, try to learn how to can your food, so that way you can just open up the jar and you can begin to eat. You don't have to warm it up. You can, what I'm saying, you can survive,
yeah.
eating the food without having to warm it. So that's another thing to think about too, because when people are hungry, the sense of smell becomes much greater. So if
Oh,
you don't have
yes,
warmed
yes,
up
yes.
food feeding the family, now you may put yourselves in harm's, way as well. So there's a lot of things to look at here. I would love to come back on your show again,
Oh,
Brother
yeah.
Reginald.
We got to talk about preserving food, canning, and things of that
Yes.
nature. Well, if you give them your Facebook page, contact information.
Okay, yes, absolutely. So again, my Facebook page, Victoria X Whipple. I see it there. Thank you so much. Um, and that's on Facebook. And then on Instagram, I am Black Honesty on Instagram. That is Black dot Honesty. And then on TikTok, I'm Black Honesty. So, Black Honesty is the name I go by with my poetry, because I'm a poet. And so, maybe sometime in the near future, I'll be able to share some poetry, with you all on one of these shows. But
Oh,
yes, I
yeah.
am.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, you got the gift with the spoken word. You're a serious sister. You're focused. And we all have to have things we like doing. But even when you bring that word, the spoken word is always lifting, uplifting, and things like
Yes,
that. So
yes.
we got to have you back, my sister. We really appreciate the information that you shared. I wanted to share this. School is coming back in.
Mhm.
We have to be careful for the children, the babies. So many things we got to pay attention to. Some kids could be going to school for the first time. Some people will be
Yes,
going
sir.
to school before. One of them, if you got teenagers in school and they're going back to school, one of the new laws in Georgia, if you got teenagers that's going back to school, one of the new laws in Georgia is gang affiliation.
Mm.
That means if you got any paraphernalia, you got anything, oh yeah, well, we got to do an open mic on war. We will do that. But if you got any
That's
game
right.
paraphernalia, a teacher in the classroom can make a determination of whether you gang affiliate. Now, once you, it's just like administering Ritalin or something like that. The teacher says he's a disturbing the class, but once they have you identified as gang affiliate, it's just like being a sex offender. You'll
Right.
never get it
See.
off your record. And so
Yeah.
we have to be, and then guess what? Even the
Mm.
parents, if you're not paying attention to your kids and they bringing other people home, they would consider that to be an act of recruitment into
Wow.
gangs.
Wow.
And now you got another problem. So we got to really, really, really pay attention to
Yes.
what's going on in the school year. For anyone out there with rides and different things, a lot of teenagers, Uber and stuff, we got to be paying attention who car you get into, all this type of stuff, even when you're riding with, if they're not Uber, because these new
Yes.
laws are going to put, especially a lot of black people, and we already have some problem with the law, but we got to be proactive. We can't be easy target. A lot of this
That's
gang
right.
affiliation, this is mission number one in the state of Georgia: eliminate the gang. So we got to stay ready. We got to stay vigilant. We got to equip our young people to see what's going on so they can pay attention. And at the same time, we still have a lot of different situations of interaction with whether it be law enforcement or people in authority. That's part of survival. We want to be able to bring you or come back home in one piece. So with that being
Yes.
said, we thank you,
Yeah.
my
You know,
sister.
I want to say something real quick if I have
Go
time,
ahead.
because you said something that made me think about what we're going to be doing on September the 9th. We're going to have
Oh
Black
yeah.
Family Day on September the 9th, and I will also have that flyer on my Facebook page as well within the next I'm going to say week. I'm going to create a flyer for that, but that's going to be September the 9th, and we are going to be serving the community. So Brother Paul Muhammad is going to be out there, and he's going to have pamphlets and information about emergency communication and how to be a part of his class and all of that. And then we're also going to have, like you said, how to survive, like if you're getting stopped and pulled over by the police. A lot of times those situations don't turn out so good for us. We've been targeted. Our brothers and even black women now are being killed, murdered, by officers, those who are supposed to be serving and protecting. When it comes down to us, we have to be very, very mindful that they're really not our friend, and they've shown us that in so many ways. So we have to learn how to communicate with them to save our lives, to return back home to our families. Because something as simple as a traffic stop has, led many of black men to be murdered at the hands of police officers. So this is a real situation, and it should be looked at, as something very serious where we can learn how to survive. So that is survival as well. Thank you for mentioning that again. Thank you for
Uh,
having me on your show, Brother
yes.
Reginald. We are ready. Keep
Stay
up the good
ready.
work, brother.
Oh yes, we're
Yes,
gonna keep up the
sir.
good work, and you keep up the good work, sister. Keep us posted. And for everybody out there, make sure you like, share, and subscribe over here, Square Mile Media Atlanta. Make sure you send this episode so that your family members, because you don't want them to be the poster child for not knowing.
That's right.
We
That's right,
tired of
brother.
being everybody's example of not being ready, not being prepared, and don't make ourselves easy targets. And this is Reginal Drummer, the peopleologist, and we'll see you next week. Stay strong, and by all means, stay ready.